guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's Jake. Welcome to the JD Cars Automotive YouTube channel. Please be sure to go check us out at jd-cars.com. Follow us on Instagram at jd.cars, and please be sure to subscribe for more content. So we're back at it again today with the $500 Facebook X3. As you guys know, I did struts and shocks on this car. So all new suspension, well, not suspension arms, but struts and shocks. I did an R1 Concepts brake rotor kit. I really love these brakes, so be sure to go check out that video. But in addition to doing the suspension and the brakes when I got the car, I also went around and I did, of course, the brake wear sensors along with the brakes. And I also did new wheel speed sensors on all four corners. And I thought that would resolve the majority of my dash light issues, because I had like a torn wheel speed sensor wire and a torn brake wear sensor wire. So I thought that's what it was. I did the sensors and turned the car on, and the lights are still there. So I did some more digging online. I used my Carly tool, of course, and took that error code, plopped it into Google, and apparently a ton of people have problems with the X3 and X5 transfer case. The reason being, the transfer case uses plastic gears. Not within the transfer case itself, but within the actuator that sends power to the front differential. That actuator has plastic gears in it, so it's prone to failure. I'm not going to get into too much of the details till we have it up on the lift and torn apart, so let's get it in the garage and take it apart. Alright, figure out how to take this sucker out of here. Okay, transfer case right here. So, for those of you who are not familiar, engine, transmission, and transfer case. So, on a rear-wheel drive car, you're just gonna have the engine, transmission, and a drive shaft going straight back from the transmission to your rear differential. It's gonna then transfer power out to your rear wheels. On an all-wheel drive vehicle, we have a transfer case in the middle here, and what that does is it not only directs power back from the transmission, but it also directs some forwards through a forward drive shaft to the front differential, and then eventually your front wheels. So this car does have the ability to vary the amount of power going to the front, and in this case it's currently fully in rear wheel drive. I've verified that on our gravel driveway, completely rear wheel drive only. We have no power going to the front, and that is all due to this little actuator motor right back here. So let's get this cross support out of the way. We'll get the actuator out of there, and I'll be better able to explain the situation. Let's go grab some tools. So first things first, getting this cross member out of the way here. We have four 13mm bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, unless your fourth one is snapped off like mine. And we have one more bolt going through this rubber bushing connecting to the transfer case. But I think if we just leave that, it should retain the cross member, and we can still pull this edge down to access that actuator. So as you can see, we can now just pull the cross member out of the way. There's our actuator right there, and to remove it we have 4 E10 Torx bolts. So you're gonna need a female Torx socket for that, which looks like this. And yeah, we're just gonna pull off those 4 bolts and we should be able to remove it. So the removal of those 4 bolts, it's gonna be hard for me to show you one-handed here. We do have 2 electrical connections to disconnect, as you can see here. So get those disconnected before you try to pull it off. And I'm gonna set the camera down so I can pull this out of the way and pull the actuator out of there. All right, so I've just pulled off the actuator. Those are the 4 bolts we undid. 2 connections right there. Here's the motor. And here is the main gear. This is not the one that's prone to failing. We're gonna pull this apart on the workbench, and I'll show you what is prone to failing. What's going on, guys? I'm actually sitting in my college dorm room right now. I'm editing the X3 actuator video right now as we speak. But I just want to make a quick note here, because I know not everyone that's watching this video with a 2004, 5, or 6 BMW X3 is actually going to want to get their hands dirty and deal with this somewhat hassle of a repair. After all, we're talking about a 15-year-old compact German SUV with 225,000 miles on it, at least in my case. Also, I don't know about you you guys, but when I'm looking at a $500 BMW X3, I don't always know if it's really worth it to make that repair. In this case, I'm doing the repair simply just to make the video, to help you guys out making the repair at home if you choose to do so. But doing the job at home takes a big chunk out of your day. If you go to the dealer, it can cost anywhere from $2,300 to $4,000 to get this job done. They might even try to sell you a new transfer case while you're at it. Doing the job at home, parts aren't very expensive. It's about $100 for a new actuator. But then ask yourself, how much do you value your time? I value my time at about $50 an hour. It took about 6 hours, I would say. So we're looking at $300 in labor, $100 in parts. So that's $400 that I just invested in a $500 X3. And we don't even know how much life the car has left in it. Either way, you're investing a considerate amount of money into a depreciating asset. So this is a perfect example of a vehicle you might want to consider bringing to cashforcars.com, where in literally a minute or less, you can get an instant cash quote right like that at the click of a button. Super easy. You don't need to put in a bunch of personal information. They're not going to hassle you. What they offer you is what they will give you, and if you want to take the offer, you're welcome to accept it. And Cash for Cars boasts one of the quickest pickup times out of any company to offer this service. More often than not, they'll be there within 24 hours to pick up the car, get you paid. You won't have to deal with a private sale on Facebook or eBay, which, believe me, is not a fun time. But if you want to learn more about that story, visit my page at cashforcars.com/jdcars. And while you're there, if you're curious what you could get for your car right now in cash, feel free to plug it into their instant quote calculator, and you can have a cash offer in less than a minute. Without any further ado, let's get back to the video. By the way, we definitely want to clean off that area thoroughly before reinstalling any components. Here is where we're going to see the root of our problems. Yep, definitely have some issues in there. So basically, this is the motor responsible for shifting the power to the front axle. Here's the actual mechanism. This is your worm drive, which turns a gear inside of here. And if I pull this apart further, you'll see that that gear is all torn up because the gear that this metal worm drive makes contact with is entirely plastic. So I may continue to pull this apart. Yeah, what the hell. So after getting this little C-clip off, we should be able to pull off, oh, let's clamp this down a little better. Should be able to pull off all of this. I'm gonna grab some pliers. All right, and so removing this plate allows us to remove this gear, which has been absolutely shredded by that worm gear. Look at that. That's why it's got this curvature to it, because the worm drive sits on this gear like so, and when it's, let's try to find a relatively intact part. So when it's intact, the worm drive sits inside of it like so, and it turns the gear. When it's completely rounded out, like right here, it has nothing to sit to, and it can't turn, and it can't operate, and that's what causes the failure. Now, when I hopped online, at least as of a couple years ago when people were making videos on this hot topic, your options were you can buy an aftermarket one for like $600 or the OEM one for like $1,300. So since then, China has made some wonderful developments. Well, actually, there was another option. There's this guy 3D printing carbon fiber reinforced gears to replace this gear, so that it hopefully wouldn't wear out. FCP Euro also offered a replacement gear kit for $100, or you can buy this gear separately on Amazon for like $15. I decided to go with a final option, which is buying an entire new actuator unit, fully ready to go, ready to plug and play and bolt in. I'd rather not fuss with this and reuse components that are likely to fail when I can get a whole new unit for the cost of new gears from FCP Euro. So let's tear into the box and see what we get. Voila, entire unit ready to go. We got a new motor, a new drive assembly, new gears, new electrical connections. So it was kind of a no-brainer for $90 to pick this up, opposed to replacing the gears and hoping it works. This way I know we're good to go right out of the box. If it fails in 2 years, I'll buy a new one. It's a hell of a lot cheaper and easier. So all you have to do in this case is remove those 4 E10 Torx bolts on the transmission, pull off your old unit, grab your new one here, bolt it on, plug it in, and you're good to go. So that's the method I chose and what we'll be doing today. So let's go throw it in the car and see if it works. All right, so maybe 5 minutes later, we're all bolted up. Whole unit is replaced. All the gears lined up perfectly, the bolt holes lined up perfectly, and the connector snapped right into place. So all in all, I'm impressed with the build, the fitment. Just a matter of if it's gonna work. So let's get our cross member bolted back up, put it on the ground, clear the code, and see if it works. Alright, so we're scanning the car for issues right now. One of those will probably still be the transfer case actuator. We're going to clear that one particularly, and hopefully all these issues aren't going to come back. See how many we can rack up here. Alright, 12 issues. So air conditioning, I'm not going to worry about that. Central chassis, it's my rear window regulator, control unit, temperature sensor, fix that. Dynamic stability control, rear left, I thought it was my wheel speed sensors. Tried replacing those, it didn't work. Now here we go. Clutch is in the open position, rear wheel drive, distribution transmission, ECU, blah blah blah. That's the code about our transfer case actuator. Hopefully when we clear all these, we'll get rid of that. Let's try clearing all those issues. Well, if we go into the app, we have 3 less issues, so that's a good thing. And if we go into dynamic stability control, we only have 2 codes, and that transfer case code is gone. The one saying that there was a clutch issue and we were in rear wheel drive, that's no longer active. You still have the 4x4 light up on the dash for some reason. I'm gonna have to do some more research online to see why that is, but we definitely did resolve the transfer case issue. Grease all over my face, but that's all right. Anyways, I just went around our gravel driveway, which is good for testing 2-wheel drive versus all-wheel drive, because if it's just in rear wheel, then only the rear wheels are gonna spin on the gravel. But I punched it numerous times and all 4 wheels were spinning, so we have regained X-Drive, which is good. We need to figure out that dash light along with the ABS and brake light. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, so I'm gonna do some more research online. Those of you who do have issues with your X-Drive system and you're getting the same code as me, definitely give this a shot. If you found this video helpful, please go leave a like down below, subscribe for more BMW content. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time on JD Cars.